Yeah. Folk Tribe Entertainment. Yeah. It is a glory for y'all that conceal a thing, but it's an honor to search it out if you're a king. The heart has many vices for us to give to desires. So choose you life or death where you live or burning fire. Now who will stand in the council of God? Now who will stand in the I say who will stand in the council of God? Now who will stand in the council of God? Come on. Will you serve God or will you pass by? Will you serve God, or will you pass by? Praise Almighty Yahweh, to every moray, to Rabboni, speak His word faithful. Every law and testimony, there's no light up in you. If you continue to discredit Yah's credential about who is serving, let the Spirit get you Deuteronomy 13, first 7 verses, 18 chapter 2. Remember all this service purpose. If you feeling like you a prophet, then bring the topic, leave emotions out. Bring to the table Yahweh's writing. If you enlighten, since they hyping about Yahweh's lighting, let these Hebrew know Genesis 1 begin our time and brother. Lining up a line and you won't find what the moon to find another day is lining words of thumb unto our brightness was an unsigned to bring in no months either in the live free. Come on. Fourth tribe for 100 centuries. Yeah. Let's go. Take a look at my soul. Nothing left but these hoes. They tried to take me down, but Yah is in control. So now I ask you, you suddenly black too? The oppressor ain't fair when he attacked you. Started wars cause they tried to tax you. You should be asking who they was taxing.
I'm the messenger, Yah, stepping out of Beulah. From Babylon to Zion, my chains are looser in my mind, but out here the jakes will shoot you. The judges judge for hire, the juries are straight liars. Just to see Israel fried up, they got our phones tapped and wired up. The police got you stuck, no one desires us. This law requires us to buy this man's trust. Pay to get salvation, who you playing? But I pulled your card, I seen your stars, they false lights. My spirit spit lyrics so cold, your frostbite. And that's the attitude from your murderous plight, from your rapists every night, and young boys shot down in the street in they mama's sight. Your overseers call this the good life, like the hood's right, rep Zion, that's right, Yah's way, that's life. The ships of Tarshish, the glory of Lebanon will offload to Yah's land. That's what we stepping on. The next plane won't miss the Pentagon. The bees is dying, Florida is drying. Look like death coming to Babylon. The nation about to be born. A pure language giving the call on the name of Yah. All people will serve the sun, the black supremacist. No hippie on the stick, looking like Dennis the Menace. The demon is finished. When the wicked fall, the meek increase. Israel is free. Rejoice in the death of the beast. The resurrection of Yah's people. All your children will be righteous. Walking in Yah's likeness. Mirth and happiness. All glory in the land that Yah is blessed. See the truth manifesting Yah's elect.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise and honor to the Holy One of Israel, to the Creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is, by saying hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah. Yah is righteous, Yah is holy, and let Yahweh be magnified. Once again, the Creator has allowed us to come before you on another day, bringing to you his great, holy, and exalted words, even the words of truth. My name is Moray Ishaya Yisrael of the House of Israel, located right here in Cincinnati, Ohio, 2330 Kemper Lane, bringing to you nothing but the truth. And yes, it is true. All we're going to do is tell you the truth, for Yah ordained me to tell you the truth. And this is what I'm going to do. And who is this Yah? Yah is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is. Yah is the Elohim of our fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yisrael, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yah is our king, he's our judge, he is our lawgiver, and Yah is our only savior, and not just of Israel. Yah is the savior of the world. And once again, we thank the mighty Yah for allowing us to bring to you his great, holy, and exalted words. This evening, we will be discussing plagues. This G5 that many of our people are talking about over the internet, as well as the Passover. And we will be getting into great details about the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The rest of this week, we will touch on it a little bit this evening. But the first thing I wanted you to know is recorded in a book of Amos. If we turn there, one thing that you have to know about the Most High, in which the world and many of our people don't know, and that is the Creator knows everything. There's nothing hidden from the eyes, the all-seeing eyes of Yahweh. You can't surprise Yahweh. There's nothing happening that Yahweh has not allowed or ordained. And so let us see what Yahweh lets us know in the book of Amos, the 3rd chapter. And this is what it says in the 6th verse. Shall a trumpet be blown in a city, and the people not be afraid? And no. Soon as our people began to hear the horn of the world, the sirens go off, whether it's a fire truck, a police car, or the Doppler system. Whatever it is, once that horn is blown, typically there's fear. And watch what it says. Shall there be evil in a city, and Yahweh has not done it? And here today, in the various cities around the earth, around the world, evil seems and appears to have the world in a state of total emergency, to the extent that they have called a state of emergency, not only around the world, but right here in the United States of America, many of the states, the mass majority of them, are under a state of emergency. And this emergency is not because something good is happening, but something evil. And where is this evil coming from? Is it coming from Korea or Japan or Iran or Russia? Well, we know it's not coming from them because they are languishing and being affected by the same evil that we face here in America. So we know it's not coming from them. Is this evil coming from some type of terrorist organization? And there's not a terrorist organization that exists that can affect the world in this magnitude. And even if they could and did, surely they would have claimed credit for their magnificent work by bringing the earth to a standstill. But they're not claiming this because they also are being affected by what we're seeing today, this evil. So where's this evil coming from? Is this evil coming from this so-called cell phone towers that's going up that they call G5? Is this a government plot to do population control, reduce the population? This is nothing but conspiracy and a very foolish thought. If you know how your enemies operate, you would never think they would do such a thing like this, because this is crippling the very people that you're saying is responsible for this evil. And they're not responsible for this. They're dying as we speak. And the governments of the world is being brought to their knees. They don't know it yet, but they are. So we know it's not this G5 either. But we're going to prove it to you. So we're going to talk about where this evil actually come from and what is going on. What is happening to the world that anyone can explain? Is there a truth that will let you know the truth about the current state of the world? And yes, it is. We just read to you, shall there be any evil in a city, and Yahweh has not done it? Furthermore, the Creator lets us know in the book of Isaiah. Let us turn there. Isaiah 45, I think it is. And look what it says. According to the book of Isaiah 45, verse 7, and this is what the Creator of the universe, Creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, And all that is therein is, this is what he says. Isaiah 45:7. I form the light and create darkness. And we had a program letting you know what darkness is. Darkness is not just the night, but darkness, according to the scriptures say the way of the wicked is as darkness. And look what's happening today. Many of your planes, airlines, only doing not even quite 50% of their flights. So many of the planes that you know of are going dark. The lights is off. Many of your businesses are dark because their lights are off. Here it is, many of the states, there are some states that still holding out, and they refuse to call a state of emergency, such as the state of Florida and the state of Mississippi. Not now. Now, they are telling people they have enacted what you know of as a stay-at-home order, which means you can't go to work, you can't go to school, and many of the businesses will be going dark. For Yahweh said, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace. And do it look like peace is flourishing in the earth today? Not at all. Every time the president come up, every time you hear a governor speak, all they talk about is that they at war. And then you ask them, what nation? What people are you at war with? And they say it's invisible. We can't even see who we're fighting, but we're at war. Well, how are you at war with something you can't even see? The thing might be at war with you, but how in the world can you be at war with it and you don't even see it? But nevertheless, Yahweh said, I make peace and create evil. I, Yahweh, do all these things. And rather than the people and the inhabitants of the earth give Yahweh the credit that's only due to him for all things, they will rather say, well, this is an invisible thing. They will rather say, well, it's the governments and this population control. They will rather give this credit to something that it is not, instead of the Most High, the one who created us and designed us. And I can see if the Creator had not foretold these things, he did. We brought them to you. We told you that Yahweh has a controversy with his people and the inhabitants of the earth. And let me show you that again so you can see what's really going on today. In the book, since we're in Isaiah, let's go to the book of Isaiah 24 so you can see this with your own eyes. And then you can say, now if you want to believe these vain conspiracy theories, you can. You can believe them all you want. But that's all they are conspiracies. But what Yahweh foretold us is the truth. And we'll prove it. And how do you know the truth? One way to tell the truth is always consistent. There is no inconsistencies in the truth. And the truth not only don't have any inconsistencies and blemishes, but the truth is totally consistent and natural with natural law. And what is a natural law? A natural law is the sun rising and the sun setting. That's a natural law. The natural law is the sun by day and the moon by night. That is a natural law. And you won't have, if the truth is not consistent with these things. Around the earth, the grass withereth, the flower fadeth, but the word of our Yah stands and lives forever. So whatever you believe, it has to be consistent with natural law. In the book of Isaiah 24, and watch what it says. The 4th verse. The earth mourns and fades away. The world languishes and fades away. And the haughty people of the earth do languish. The most haughtiest people of the earth, which are the power brokers, they are the ones that's languishing the most at this moment. Now, make no mistake about it. It will filter down to the other people because many of them are not right either. But nevertheless, it started exactly where it was supposed to start, with the power brokers, the ones that's begging like a man on a street corner with a sign begging for money. Now they're begging for money and saying, save us, bail us out, give us money for our business, help us to stay alive. And of course, the government, off the backs of the poor, will oblige them. But they nothing but street corner beggars at this moment. The hotel industry, the airline industry, all the industries in the world, they're begging with their signs. And let's see how long they beg. Watch what this says. Again, the earth mourns and fades away. The world languishes and fades away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore has the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. And this is what's going on around the earth today. People are dying by the thousands. And you know it. You never seen nothing like this in your life. Nor have you heard anything like this in your life. But you refuse to acknowledge the only one that can affect the earth in this way. And that's Yahweh, who made the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is. Yahweh. And I'm going to show you that what's affecting the earth today. But before I do that, let me show you what's not affecting the earth. People talking about this G5 and population control and protect yourself and all this madness. The only reason they're talking that way is because they don't know the Most High. They don't know Yahweh. And consequently, when you don't know Yahweh, inherently you're not going to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And they don't know the truth. And let me tell you the truth. As I stated before, in order for you to know the truth, you got to know all truths are consistent. There is no inconsistency in the truth. When you want to know the truth, all you got to do is put it to the test. And if you find any inconsistency, if you find any blemish, if you find any error, you know it's not the truth. Here it is, people talking about population control. Go to the book of Psalms 83. I want you to see this. In the book of Psalms 83, and this is what it says, starting at the very first verse. Keep not you silence, O Elohim. Hold not your peace, and be not still, O Elohim. For lo, your enemies make a tumult, and they that hate you have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against your people and consulted against your hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yisrael may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against you. And then it names the people who's confederated against Yahweh's people, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarims, Gabal, and Ammon, Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur also has joined with them. They have helped the children of Lot. Selah. In other words, not only to tell you that there are people in the world that is confederated against Yahweh's people. And who is his people? The children of Israel. And even though many of these nations don't even care for one another, don't like one another, hate one another, but they don't hate each other enough that will not allow them to come together, work together with one aim and one consent, and that is to cut the children of Israel name off from being a nation. This is no conspiracy at all. Not only is this written, but this is exactly why we as a people are not in our land this day. This is one of the reasons why our people are the last hired and the first fired. Because there's people that had confederated to cut us off. Here it is, they building these cell phone towers to do what? Population control. If they wanted to do population control, why would they just kill people randomly? Why would they kill a population that's not even increasing? As a matter of fact, most of the rich people, 9 out of the 10 countries that are mostly affected by this virus, 9 out of 10 of them are European countries. The only one that's not considered a European country is Iran. But the rest of them are European countries. Now, last I found out and thought, and it's a fact and a truth, that the European countries are decreasing in their population, not increasing. While the blacks and the Mexicans and all, they are greatly increasing. And if they wanted to do population control, they're not going to do it on people who's decreasing. That makes no kind of sense. That is not the truth. They would do it on people that are increasing. But the people that's dying is not a bunch of blacks and Mexicans. They dying too. But not in the numbers that other people are dying. Why you think it's a state of emergency? If it was our people, you think it would be a state of emergency? No, because if you do, you don't know the truth. And you don't know the mind of our enemies. Furthermore, you know it's no cell phone tower killing our people. That's not how things work. That's just some conspiracy, but it's not the truth. Watch this in the book. Even though radiation kills, but it don't just kill black people and Mexican people, it kills everybody. Look in the book of Exodus, the first chapter. And what are we talking about? Plagues, G5, and the Passover. They all have something in common, and we're going to talk about it. In the book of Exodus, the first chapter, watch what this is. I just want you to see the truth. I want you to analyze the truth. People just saying anything on the internet because you can. But it don't mean it's the truth just because some people saying it. And most of the stuff I hear not only is not the truth, but it makes no kind of sense when you measure it by the truth. Watch this in the book of Exodus, the first chapter, the first verse. Now, these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob. Reuben and Simeon, Levi and Yehuda. Issachar, Zebulun and Benjamin. Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died, and all his brothers, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and grew exceedingly mighty. And the land was filled with them. Not only they were fruitful, they increased abundantly, they multiplied, they grew exceedingly mighty, and the land was full with them. So filled, watch what it says. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said to his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falls out any war, they join also with our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. So in other words, they had a reason, they had purpose, and they had one mind. And that was to stop these people who were multiplying so greatly. You think that's why they got some cell phone towers and G5 to stop us from multiplying? Come on, man. They dying. Now I can see if it was just killing us. But it's not just killing us. This thing that's going around the world, it's not just killing us. And we are the minority in the deaths at this moment. We are the minority. And why would they want to control their own population when their own population is down? They're not increasing at the rate that we are. Like the Egyptians was not increasing at the rate of the children of Israel. So this G5 thing makes no kind of sense whatsoever. Not even a little bit. Watch what it further says. 12th verse. No, 11th verse. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And why? Because they were growing. They were mighty. They was taking over everything. They was taking over the banks, and they was taking over the jobs, and they was taking over everything. And everywhere you look, you seen an Israelite. And the Egyptians, no, man, we can't have this. We can't have this. Let us deal wisely with them. You think they would dealt wisely with them and they would have just dropped a bomb, killed their people and the children of Israel? No. That's not wise at all. They formed a plan to get rid of those who were growing mightily. And today, even though we are growing, and the Mexicans are growing, and we, according to their own statistics, within a few years will overtake the majority of the people. So they have great reason to decrease and to form a plan to stop us from growing. That is the truth. But you don't do it by killing your own people. You don't do it by killing the masses of your people by hundreds a day. That's not wise at all. Nor is it the truth. Because it's not coming from these governments. Because this is not how the governments act. This is not their way. And we're going to show you that. Furthermore, '13th verse. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar, in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it is a son, then you shall kill him. But if it is a daughter, then she shall live. And this is how governments act. That's how they act. This is what they do. Like today, they want to lock all the men up. Why? Because if they destroy the head of the snake, if they destroy the head of the tribe, the party, or whoever, the family, then they can control the body. And that's what they want to do. Control the body. That's how governments act. Then it says, but the midwives feared Elohim and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. Unlike many of our people, just because the government tell you to do things, that don't mean you got to do it. Here it is, the government telling you, only do this and only do that. And now they got all kind of fear tactics. We're going to arrest you. We're going to fine you. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. And our people are so scared, they doing it. And here it is, the midwives, some women, the government told them to do something, but they feared Elohim more than they feared their government that they was working for. And look what Yahweh said and did. And the midwife said to Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively and are delivered before the midwives come in to them. Therefore Elohim dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and grew very mightily. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared Elohim, that he made them houses. In other words, their lives was not in jeopardy, even though the Pharaoh could have killed them. But they feared Elohim. Here it is, our people scared to go to jail, scared to be fined. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born you shall cast into the river, and every daughter you shall save alive. And this is what, because the government will make you kill yourself. And many of our people will do it. And Yahweh will test you to see if you fear him or do you fear man. He's going to test you to see. And we already see who and what our people fear. Furthermore, again, we're talking about plagues and G5 and the Passover. Many of our people must not be very familiar with the Passover, and I may add the Passover is next week. I think it's next week for us, and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The Passover for the house of Israel began on April the 8th. The Feast of Unleavened Bread, the 9th. Now, we don't celebrate the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread by holy convocation as we would do in our Holy Land. But what we do today in our captivity, we will eat unleavened bread for 7 days and remove the leaven out of our houses. And we're going to talk about that so you can understand exactly what we do and how we do it. But during the Passover, there was things that you wanted to know that Yahweh would do. That's why I said our people and the world just don't know Yahweh. And Yahweh is and will introduce himself to the world. Since you did not acknowledge him when he was blessing you, and particularly these world governments and the people, you're going to know Yahweh by his curse because you didn't acknowledge him in his blessings. And either way, you're going to know him. And it's too late to know him by his blessings. Because now he has returned with his curse. In the book of Exodus, the 11th chapter, watch what it says. Starting at the very first verse. And Yahweh said to Moshe, yet will I bring one plague more upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Afterwards, he will let you go away. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out away altogether. And that's what they've been asking Pharaoh all this time, to let my people go, but he refused. So Yahweh said, I'm going to bring one more plague upon thee, on him and upon Egypt. And when this plague comes, he's not only going to let you go, but he's going to thrust you out altogether. Watch what it says. Second verse. Speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor, and every woman of her neighbor, jewels of silver, jewels of gold, because this is before they was thrust out. And Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Moreover, the man Moshe was very great in the land of Egypt, in the sight of Pharaoh's servants, and in the sight of the people. Now, when he left Egypt, he was just a murderer. But now when he came back to Egypt, he was very great. And Moshe said, thus says Yahweh, about midnight will I go out into the midst of Egypt. And all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sits upon his throne, even to the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the meal, and all the firstborn of beast. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it any more. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that you may know how Yahweh does put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. And Yahweh will do this during this generation. But watch what it says. And all these your servants shall come down unto me, and bow down themselves unto me, saying, get you out, and all the people that follow you. And after that I will go out. And he went out from Pharaoh in a great anger. And Yahweh said to Moshe, Pharaoh shall not listen to you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt. And Moshe and Aaron did all these wonders before Pharaoh. And Yahweh hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Israel go out of his land. And you notice Yahweh said one more plague. And what this plague was going to do, it was going to specifically kill the firstborn of Pharaoh, the firstborn in the land of Egypt amongst the people, even the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the meal, even their servants. And not only that, the firstborn of beast. Yahweh will send a plague among them and kill them. And kill them. And I know this is something that you never heard of before. That a God, that a Elohim would do such a thing. Kill. Will a God kill? Yes, he would. Who you think make alive? Will a God wound? Yes. Who do you think heal? You just don't know the true and living Elohim. And if you don't know, and if you don't want to know, and if you ain't trying to know him by his goodness, his kindness, his blessings, then you're going to know him by his curse, his evil, his death. So it's up to you how you want to meet your maker, because this is the maker of all. These religions are not going to be able to help you. Your pastors, your so-called reverends, your men, they're not going to be able to help you. The government is not going to be able to bail you out this time, because what's happening to them is happening to you. And it's come from one source and one source only, and that is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein, whose name is Yahweh. Look what happened to Egypt. He killed the firstborn of Egypt, the firstborn of beast, the firstborn of Pharaoh by plague. And here it is. Today the world is being plagued, and they don't know history. The world don't know history. Surely they got to know history. Watch this in the book of Exodus, the 12th chapter. And this is what it says. The 11th verse. And thus shall you eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, your staff in your hand, talking about the Passover. And you shall eat it in haste. It is Yahweh's Passover. And what is Yahweh Passover? Yahweh Passover, little do people know, his Passover is a plague. Watch what this says. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night and smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the idols of Egypt. And I will execute judgment. I am Yahweh. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. And here it is. When this plague went into Egypt, the soldiers was in a state of emergency. The soldiers was prepared and ready. But who can fight a plague that comes from Yahweh? You're going to shoot it up. You're going to cut it up. You're going to slice and dice it up. You're going to stomp on it. You're going to judo it, karate it, box it, MMA it. This is a plague, man. What can you do? You going to shoot radiation at it? No wonder people are dying, because there's no cure, nor is there a weapon formed that can defeat Yahweh. Watch what it says. And this day shall be to you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to Yahweh throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. And why? Because Yahweh wanted us to know. Yahweh wanted us to see how he waged war forever. But also, Yahweh wants us to see forever how he saves. Let me show you what the Passover actually means. In this book of Exodus, the 12th chapter, the 26th verse, and it shall come to pass, when your children shall say to you, what mean you by this service? That you shall say, it is the sacrifice of Yahweh's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel. In Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses, and the people bowed their head and worshiped. So here it is. The Passover is about Yahweh delivering our houses and killing the Egyptians. And what came through to kill them? A plague. A plague. Because plagues come from Yahweh. And here it is, another plague that little do people know is also deadly. And let me show you why this also is a plague. And our foolish people, because they go by the government and not by Yahweh, don't even realize they're plaguing their own lives. In the book of Exodus, the 30th chapter, watch what this says. The 11th verse. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, when you take the sum of the children of Israel after their number, in other words, a census, you count them. When you take a census, then shall they give every man a ransom. And what is a ransom? That's a particular type of offering for his soul unto Yahweh. When you number them, that there be no plague among them. When you number them, and here it is, our people are numbering themselves for the government. Why you think they want to know your number so bad? And they tell you every so many years that we got to take this census so that you can have the resources and the money in your communities by which you have grown. And we want to make sure we allocate this money correctly. They never allocated money correctly to our communities. Never, ever. We never got the proper resources in our community. And our people still foolish enough to believe it and never got what other communities got. Our schools are not the same, but yet in our communities, if they took true numbers of our people, they would know we need a bigger slice of the pie. But do we get it? No. Businesses in our communities? No. Grocery stores in our communities? No. Is there anything good in our communities that we receive like other communities as a result of a census? And the answer is absolutely not. They got you voting. They got you numbering yourself. They got you doing all these things, and it amount to nothing but death. That's it. And Yahweh of old said if we didn't give him an offering as a result of numbering ourselves, he will send a plague among us. And we know as a community, we ain't blessed at all. So Yahweh must have sent a plague among our people. For surely we're not blessed. Not as a people, not as a community, because we refuse to humble ourselves to the true and living Elohim, the only Elohim, the one Elohim that saves, the one Elohim that gave us the very breath we breathe. 13th verse. This they shall give everyone that passes among them that are numbered a half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary. A half a shekel shall be the offering of Yahweh. Everyone that passes among them that are numbered from 20 years old and above, and shall give an offering unto Yahweh. The rich shall not give more. The poor shall not give less than a half a shekel when they give an offering unto Yahweh to make an atonement for your souls. In other words, this is the way of Yahweh. Yahweh don't want us out there numbering ourselves and doing what other people are doing. We're not like other people. This is why these plagues affect us. And one more plague about Passover in the book of Exodus, the 9th chapter. And this plague is like the plague we're about to read. And watch what it says in Exodus 9. And I'm going to start reading at the 12th verse. Well, let's start at the 11th verse. And the magicians could not stand before Moshe because of the boils. For the boils were upon the magicians and upon all the Egyptians. In other words, this thing had got so bad, the people who call themselves warring with Moses, warring with Yahweh, now they being affected. Like many of the people, the scientists, many of the doctors, they're dying. The nurses are dying. And they the ones supposed to be on the front lines of the war. And the scientists, the great minds behind the scenes, don't know what to do. They working hard, but they still don't know what to do. They doing a lot of guessing, but not a lot of truth. Watch what it says, 12th verse. And Yahweh hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he listened not to them as Yahweh had spoken to Moshe. In other words, just like Trump, he stopped listening to the experts. And Yahweh said to Moshe, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh and say to him, thus says Yahweh, Elohim of the Hebrews, let my people go, that they may serve me. For I will at this time send all my plagues upon your heart and upon your servants and upon your people, that you may know that there is none like me in all the earth. And this is what ultimately will happen. Yahweh is going to let the earth know there's none like him. For now I will stretch out my hand, that I may smite you and your people with pestilence, and you shall be cut off from the earth. And why would Yahweh do such a thing? And in very deed for this cause, this is the reason why, have I raised you up, for to show in you my power, and that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. And as yet exalt you yourself against my people, that you will not let them go. Here it is. You see how long it took Trump to declare, to even say a bunch of people going to die. He said it's going to go down to 0. He said we're going to beat this thing. This thing
90 seconds.
This thing will be over in a minute. No, it's not going to be over in a minute at all. By no stretch of the imagination will it be over. But this is why Yahweh is doing what he is doing. So we talked about the Passover. We talked about G5. But you got to know
60 seconds.
that this is why Yahweh, this is his way. This is what he do. This is what he did since the beginning of time. Watch this in the book of Genesis, the 12th chapter. In the book of Genesis, the 12th chapter, the 17th verse. And Yahweh plagued Pharaoh
10 seconds.
and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, "What is this that you have done to me? Why did you not tell me that was your wife? Why said she is my sister? Why said you, she is my sister? So that I might have taken her to me to wife. Now therefore behold your wife. Take her and go your way." And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him. And they sent him away and his wife and all that he had. Because that's what Yahweh would do. If Yahweh love you and Yahweh is with you, he will plague not only his enemies, but yours also. But if you become an enemy to Yahweh, Yahweh also will plague you. Watch what the Creator let us know in the book of Leviticus, the 26th chapter. And yes, this is a plague. Why you think people dying all over the world? The age don't matter. The color don't matter. The race don't matter. The geographical location don't matter. It don't matter whether you rich or whether you poor. It don't matter if you're middle class or not. It don't matter if you're in the hot south or the cold north. Like Trump said, as soon as it start warming up, everything gonna be fine. No, everything ain't fine in the South. By no stretch of the imagination. In the book of Leviticus 26, and this is what it says. The 21st verse. And if you walk contrary unto me, this is what Yahweh says, and will not listen to me, I will bring 7 times more plagues upon you according to your sins. Because that's what Yahweh, that's what he will do. And not only that's what he will do, that's what he has done. And that is what he is doing. Now you can believe it's some G5, and you can believe it's some government plot, and you can believe whatever you want to believe. but I know I have the scripture evidence to prove what Yah has done, what Yah is doing, and what Yah will do, because Yahweh don't change. He don't change at all. In the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, watch this 58th verse. This is what people need to know, and this is what people don't know. Deuteronomy 28 and 58. If you shall not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, and our people ain't doing that you may fear this glorious and fearful name, Yahweh your Elohim, then Yahweh will make your plagues extraordinary, and the plagues of your seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, grievous sickness, and long continuance. That's what Yahweh will do if you observe not to do all the words of this law. And our people are not observing this law at all. Period. Furthermore, in the book of Deuteronomy, the 29th chapter, watch what it says. The 22nd verse. Or let's start at 21. And Yahweh shall separate him unto evil out of all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the law, so that the generation to come of your children that shall rise up after you, and the stranger that shall come from a far land, shall say, when they see the plagues of that land, and the sicknesses which Yahweh has laid upon it, and that whole land thereof is brimstone and salt and burning, that it is not sown, nor does it bear, nor any grass grows therein, like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and Admah and Zeboim, which Yahweh overthrew in his anger and in his wrath. Even all the nations say, why has Yahweh done thus to this land? And what mean the heat of this great anger? Then men shall say, because they have forsaken the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them forth out of the land of Egypt. For they went and served other gods, worshipped them, gods whom they knew not, and whom he had not given to them. And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against this land to bring upon it all the curses that are written in this book. And right now, the earth, the world, is plagued with one of these curses. That's what's going on today. That's what's happening today. This is what you're seeing today. This is what you should be acknowledging. But you're not, just like Pharaoh, until Yahweh bring you to your knees. And why your knees? Because Yahweh said every knee shall bow and every tongue shall swear. And right now, we have too many naysayers. Even though they see hundreds dying every day, they still have not woke up. in the book of 2nd Chronicles. Let us turn there. We got a few more scriptures. 2nd Chronicles 21. And watch what it says. And we're going to start reading. The 12th verse. And there came a writing to him from Elijah the prophet, saying, in other words, at this time, Elijah the prophet was dead. Or I won't say dead because he was taken up to heaven by chariots, fire. But he was no longer on earth. But there came a writing to him from Elijah. And this is what it says. Thus says Yahweh Elohim of David your father, because you have not walked in the ways of Jehoshaphat your father, nor in the ways of Asa, king of Yehuda, but I have walked in the way of the kings of Israel, and I have made Yehuda and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to go a-whoring, like to the whoredoms of the house of Ahab, and also have slain your brethren of your father's house, which were better than yourself. Behold, with a great plague will Yahweh smite your people and your children and your wives and all your goods. And if you want to know how that look, watch the 15th verse. And you shall have great sickness by disease of your bowels, until your bowels fall out by reason of the sickness day by day. That's what Yahweh will do. That's what Yahweh has done. And today, many other people who's dying today, they're dying of respiratory problems, where Yahweh is taking their breath. And it is an unpleasant, timely of death. People who describe having this virus, which is a plague, describe a very painful ordeal. Very painful. And it's not pretty at all. And you wouldn't wish this on no enemy. But it is Yahweh's will. And you're going to have to acknowledge it. If not sooner, you will acknowledge it later. And ultimately, after going through the pain and suffering of just trying to breathe, Yahweh ultimately takes your breath. The one who gave it to you is the one who takes it. And the only thing that we're bringing to your attention is that you must acknowledge the one, the true and living Elohim that gives breath to all. And once you acknowledge that, once the powers acknowledge that, and I don't think they are, nor do I think you are, because while people dying by the hundreds a day, You know what the other people are doing? They out on the beach. They out at the parks. Even in New York, where it is the epicenter of death right now, people are still going to the park. The governor had to close the parks. Now, what type of mind will go to a park at this time when people are literally dying in the streets? What kind of mind would do such a thing? Now do you see why Yahweh is so angry? We don't have enough respect for life that we just can't stop thinking about ourselves. We can't value life. So Yahweh had to bring everybody down, the rich and the poor, and bring them to one place. In the book of Numbers, th chapter. This is what it says. And I'm going to read the 35th verse. I, Yahweh, have said, I will surely do it to all this evil congregation that are gathered together against me. In this wilderness they shall be consumed, and there they shall die. And the men which Moses sent to search the land, who returned and made all the congregation to murmur against him by bringing up a slander upon the land, even those men that did bring up the evil report upon the land, died by the plague before Yahweh. And we understand that because a lot of people slandered us. And why did they slander us? Slander us because we told them, let's fast and let's pray to Yahweh. Let's fast 40 days and 40 nights before the decree bring forth. We told the people Yahweh has a controversy with his people and the inhabitants of the earth. This is what we told everybody. And we said, let us come together and fast. I ran around the country telling the leaders, let's go down to Virginia and let us go to the rivers of Babylon and let us fast and pray and put on sackcloth and ashes before this evil come. And not only we fasted 40 days and 40 nights once, but we did it twice. And why? Because we knew Yahweh had a controversy. And when there's controversy, there's only one thing you can do. And that is acknowledge your guilt. Here the Creator lets us know in the book of Deuteronomy, the 25th chapter, just two more scriptures. That's it. Deuteronomy 25. Watch what it says in the very first verse. If there is a controversy between men and they come to judgment, that the judges may judge them, then they shall justify the righteous and condemn the wicked. That's the law. And it shall be, if the wicked man is worthy to be beaten, because you're condemning him now, that the judge shall cause him to lie down and be beaten before his face, according to his fault, by a certain number. And what is that number? 40 stripes he may give him, and not exceed. Least if he should exceed and be him above these with many stripes, then your brother should seem vile unto you. And here it is. We knew that Yahweh had a controversy with his people, as well as the inhabitants of the earth. So we acknowledge our guilt. And how did we acknowledge it? We prayed. And we fasted. Since we didn't give each other 40 stripes, we fasted 40 days. And not only did we fast 40 days, we fasted 40 nights. Because you're supposed to condemn the wicked. And make no mistake about it. We are the wicked. So rather than waiting till Yahweh condemn us, we condemned ourselves, that it might be well with us at this time. And one other scripture in the book of Hosea. In the book of Hosea, and we're going to read Hosea, the 4th chapter. And this is what it says in the first verse. Hear the word of Yahweh, you children of Israel. For Yahweh has a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, no mercy, nor knowledge of Elohim in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committed adultery, they break out, and blood touches blood. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwells therein shall languish with the beasts of the field, with the fowls of heaven. Yes, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. This is what's going on. This is what you're going to see. This is the controversy that Yahweh has. So, yes, it is of a truth that the world is being plagued. You don't have to believe me, nor do you have to acknowledge it. But you will, make no mistake about it. Your knee will bow. Your tongue will swear that there's only one Elohim, whose name is Yahweh. And he alone is the one that make alive, but he's also the one that kills. Yes, he is the one that bless, but he also is the one that curse. He's the one that gave you that breath that is called life, that you never acknowledge every time you breathe. And he is the one that can take the breath that he gave. So we want you to know, Yahweh giveth, Yahweh taketh. Blessed be the name of Yahweh. So until tomorrow, Yahweh love you, and so do I. Shalom.
I'm the messenger, Yah, stepping out of Beulah. From Babylon to Zion, my chains are looser in my mind, but out here the jakes will shoot ya. The judges judge for hire, the juries are straight liars. Just to see Israel fried up, they got our phones tapped and wired up. The police got you stuck, no one desires us. This law requires us to buy this man's trust. Pay to get salvation, who you playing? But I pulled your card, I seen your stars, they false lights. My spirit spit lyrics so cold, your frostbite. And that's the attitude from your murderous plight, from your rapists every night, and young boys shot down in the street in they mama's sight. Your overseers call this the good life, like the hood's right, rep Zion, that's right, Yah's way, that's life. The ships of Tarshish, the glory of Lebanon will offload to Yah's land. That's what we stepping on. The next plane won't miss the Pentagon. The bees is dying, Florida is drying. Look like death coming to Babylon. The nation about to be born. A pure language giving the call on the name of Yah. All people will serve the sun, the black supremacist. No hippie on the stick, looking like Dennis the Menace. The demon is finished when the wicked fall, the meek increase. Israel is free. Rejoice in the death of the beast. The resurrection of Yah's people. All your children will be righteous, walking in Yah's likeness, mirth and happiness. All glory in the land that Yah is blessed. See the truth manifesting Yah's and blessed.
Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
His spirit, I long for His spirit, I yearn for the spirit.